Madagascar. Red and white were the colors of the last Merina monarch before French rule, and green the color for peasants, who played a big part in Madagascar's fight for independence. Cameroon. The red stripe stands for unity, the star is the star of unity, the yellow stands for the savannas in the north, and green is for the forest in the south. Taiwan. Blue represents nationalism, white democracy, and red represents the people's livelihood. Ivory Coast. Orange is for the land, white is for peace, and green is for hope. Sri Lanka. The lion represents bravery, the four leaves, the four Buddhist concepts of kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. The saffron stripe represents the Tamils minority, the green stripe the Muslim minority, and the maroon background the majority Sinhalese. The yellow border represents unity. Niger. The orange represents the Sahara Desert, the white the Niger River or purity, the green the fertile land or hope, and the orange circle independence. Romania. The blue, yellow, and red represents liberty, justice, and fraternity respectively. Burkina Faso. The red represents the revolution, green the country's natural riches, and the yellow star the guiding light of the revolution. Syria. The colors come from the Pan-Arab or Arab Liberation Flag. A 14th century poem ascribes this meaning: white for action, black for battles, green for fields, and red for swords. Mali. The green represents the land, the gold, purity, and mineral wealth, and the red is for the blood shed for independence from France. Chile. The star may represent progress, honor, and independence. Blue represents the sky and the Pacific Ocean. White is for the snow-covered Andes, and red is for the blood spilled for independence. Kazakhstan. Blue represents peace, freedom, and cultural and ethnic unity. The sun represents life, wealth, and abundance. The rays are shaped like grain, a source of that abundance. The eagle represents independence, freedom, and flight to the future. Malawi. The rising sun represents the dawn of a new hope and freedom for Africa, as more and more African countries began to become independent from Europe. The black represents the indigenous people of Africa, the red the blood of their struggle, and green nature. The Netherlands. Initially, the flag was orange, white, and blue in honor of William of Orange, the main leader of the Dutch revolt against Spanish rule. Zambia. Green stands for the country's flora, red for the country's struggle for freedom, black for the Zambian people, and orange for natural resources and mineral wealth. The flying eagle represents the people's ability to rise above the nation's problems. Guatemala. The blue stripe represents the fact that Guatemala is between two oceans, and the white signifies peace and purity. The coat of arms in the middle shows the national bird, which represents liberty. The inscription on the parchment is the date of the country's independence from Spain, and the crossed rifles represent the country's willingness to defend itself by force. The crossed swords represent honor, and the green bay laurel is symbolic of victory. Ecuador. Yellow is for crops, blue is for ocean, and red is for those who died for the country. The coat of arms in the middle represents beauty, wealth, trade, and the economy of the country. The condor on top with its outstretched wings is a symbol of the power, greatness, and strength of Ecuador. The golden sun, surrounded by the astrological signs of Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer, represents the months of March to July to signify the length of the March Revolution. Zimbabwe. The bird represents a statue found in the ruins of Great Zimbabwe, the old capital city of the medieval kingdom of Zimbabwe, and thus it symbolizes the history of Zimbabwe. The red star stands for the nation's aspirations, green is for agriculture, yellow is for the country's mineral wealth, mainly gold, red is for the bloodshed for independence, and black is for the people of Zimbabwe. Cambodia. The white building in the middle is a temple in Cambodia, originally constructed as a Hindu temple to Vishnu, but later transformed into a Buddhist temple, and represents integrity, justice, and heritage. Red is for bravery, and blue is for liberty and brotherhood. Senegal. The green color and star represents Islam. Yellow represents wealth, the arts, literature, and the intellect. Red represents blood and thus sacrifice, and determination to fight against underdevelopment. Chad. The colors were a combination of the blue, white, and red of the French flag and the green, yellow, and red of the Pan-African colors. Additionally, the blue represents the sky and hope, the yellow represents the sun and desert, and red signifies the bloodshed for independence. Guinea. Red symbolizes the blood of the martyrs who died from slavery and wars, yellow is for the sun and the country's riches, and green is the country's vegetation. South Sudan. Black represents the people, red the bloodshed for independence, green the country's agriculture and natural wealth, white represents peace after many years of struggle for independence, blue represents the waters of the Nile River, a source of life for the country, and yellow represents unity, hope, and determination. Rwanda. Blue represents happiness and peace, the yellow represents economic development, green, hope of prosperity, and the sun represents enlightenment. As a whole, the flag represents national unity, respect for work, heroism, and confidence in the future. Burundi. The white represents peace, the green, the nation's hope for future development, and red is for the suffering during the struggle for freedom. The 3 stars stand for the 3 major ethnic groups in the country, and for unity, work, and progress. Cuba. The 3 blue stripes represent the 3 old divisions of the island, the 2 white stripes represent the purity of ideals and the light of patriotic Cubans, the triangle stands for liberty, equality, and fraternity, and the red color represents the blood spilt for independence. And the star used to represent a new star that should be added to the United States. But then, things happened and now it means freedom. Tunisia. It was inspired by the flag of the Ottoman Empire, of which Tunisia was a part of. Red represents the blood of those killed during the Turkish conquest of Tunisia, and white represents peace. The crescent moon and the 5-pointed star represent unity of all Muslims and the 5 pillars of Islam respectively. Belgium. The colors were taken from the coat of arms of the Duchy of Brabant and is representative of the country's independence. Benin. The yellow and green represent the savannas and palm groves of the country, while the red symbolizes the bloodshed in fighting for the country. Somalia. The flag was inspired by the flag of the United Nations in recognition of their help in transitioning Somalia to independence. It now symbolizes the blue sky and the Indian Ocean. Greece. The cross represents Eastern Orthodox Christianity. The 9 stripes represent either the syllables of the Greek phrase freedom or death, or the 9 Greek letters of the word freedom, or even the 9 muses, the goddesses of art and civilization. The colors are for the sky and the sea and the clouds of Greece. Bolivia. Red represents the blood shed by Bolivia's heroes for the birth and preservation of the republic. Yellow represents Bolivia's wealth and resources, and green represents the richness of the natural areas as well as hope. The coat of arms in the center depicts 2 crossed rifles that symbolize the struggle for independence. An axe and a red cap, a symbol of liberty and freedom, and laurel branches are a symbol of peace. Finally, the condor perched on top represents the people's willingness to defend the nation and its liberty. Haiti. The coat of arms in the center depicts weapons, symbolic of their readiness to defend freedom, and a palm tree symbolic of independence. The French inscription says, "Unity is strength." According to tradition, the flag was created by a revolutionary leader who split the French flag into 3, threw out the white stripe, and asked that the blue and red stripes be sewn together. Dominican Republic. Blue on the flag stands for liberty, the white for salvation, the red for the blood of heroes. In the center, the coat of arms displays the country's motto, God, Fatherland, and Liberty. The Bible in the middle is open to the verse John 8:32. You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Czech Republic. The original flag was based on the coat of arms of the Kingdom of Bohemia, and later for Czechoslovakia, a blue triangle was added. When Czechoslovakia split into 2 countries, there was an agreement that neither country would use old Czechoslovakia's state symbols. The Czech Republic violated this prohibition and used this flag as their own. Portugal. The green represents hope, and red the blood of those who died for the country. The yellow armillary sphere was an important navigational tool for Portuguese sailors during the Age of Discovery. On top of that is the shield, and inside of that are 5 small blue shields in the shape of a cross, which represents the 5 holy wounds of Christ. The 7 yellow castles have been considered a symbol of Portuguese victories over the Moorish enemies. Azerbaijan. The blue symbolizes the country's Turkic heritage, the red stands for progress, and the green represents Islam. Sweden. The yellow of the cross represents generosity and Christianity, while the blue background symbolizes loyalty, truth, and justice. Hungary. Red represents strength and the blood spilled for the fatherland. White represents faithfulness and freedom, and green represents hope and the pastures of Hungary. Belarus. Red represents freedom and sacrifice, while green represents life. Tajikistan. The red represents unity, the green represents the fertile valleys, the white represents the snow of the mountains, and the color of cotton, a major crop of the country. United Arab Emirates. White represents peace, red is for bravery and strength, green is for hope, joy, and love, and black represents the defeat of enemies. Serbia. The colors were probably taken from the Russian Empire flag. The coat of arms represents national identity of the Serbian people across the centuries. The cross is surrounded by 4 stylized letters. Popular tradition says that they represent the letters S in Cyrillic and stand for the phrase, "Only unity saves the Serbs." Austria. The flag traces back to the coat of arms of the medieval Babenberg dynasty, although legend has it that Duke Leopold V of Austria invented it when after a battle his white coat was completely drenched in blood, but when he removed his belt, the cloth underneath it was white, so took this and made it his flag. Switzerland. In the 14th century, Swiss soldiers went into battle marked with a white cross on a red base as a sign of their Christian faith and to distinguish themselves from their enemies. This later became the country's coat of arms and then flag. Israel. The basic design recalls the Jewish prayer shawl, and the star in the center is the Star of David, a symbol that is widely seen as representative of the Jewish people. The white color represents God's benevolence, and the blue color, God's glory, purity, and strength. Honduras. The 5 stars in the center represent the 5 original Central American provinces that once formed the Federal Republic of Central America: El Salvador, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Guatemala, and the hope that they may form a union once again. Papua New Guinea. Red and black have long been traditional colors of many Papua New Guinea tribes. The bird of paradise symbolizes the country's emergence into nationhood. The stars are the Southern Cross, a constellation notable in Southern Hemisphere countries like Papua New Guinea. It signifies the country's historical relationship with other nations of the South Pacific. Jordan. The colors are pan-Arab colors with the same meaning of similar flags. The white star stands for the unity of the Arab people and the 7 verses of the first surah in the Quran, and the 7 hills on which Amman, the capital, was built, and faith in one God, humanity, humility, national spirit, virtue, social justice, and aspiration. Togo. Red represents the blood shed by martyrs to gain independence. White represents hope, the star of hope. Green represents the forest, agriculture, nature, and overall hope for the future. And yellow represents natural resources of the country.